My last day of Spanish class was in the 2nd grade. Everyone was speaking Spanish, but the cool kids, the dreamers, the middle schoolers who looked conjugation in the face and laughed, they took French. I wish I could go back to that 7-year-old me and push me off the swings, tell me what a colossal idiot I was and what a horrible mistake I was making. I really only have one regret in this life, and that is that after years of translating and conjugating, I'm pretty darn good at French, a language spoken by one country, the colonies that remain from their attempts at global domination, and half a dozen folks in Canada, the middle child of North America. And by absolutely no one in an American hospital. It may be the language of art and the language of love, but it is not the language of practicality in the American healthcare system. And no matter how hard I try, that marble of fudge between my ears would rather commit to memory the lyrics of a rap song about boats than learn a 3rd language. Je regrette que j'ai appris le français et non pas l'espagnol. I have this one regret, and after 26 some odd years of my buffoonery, it's pretty darn miraculous that I only have just one. I'm starting to regret agreeing to do this because I freely admit that I am horribly, laughably unqualified to offer any advice to you. You are doctors and scientists. Why can't I offer advice? I'll use my favorite and most often used phrase from medical school for the very last time. I'm not a doctor. I know nothing about this giant menacing ocean that is the next stage of your training. Nor can I comprehend what sort of kraken will be feeding on your toes when you begin to try to swim. However, today, on this momentous occasion, I reflect on our lives, on our choices, and on the fact that I have only one regret. I make lots of decisions with the possibility of regretting them later. Medicine, grad school, I think I'll get a PhD. I bet no one ever regretted that. If I am to survive, to craft a meaningful career and to become the kind of doctor that these folks make me want to be, it would behoove me to figure out how the heck did I get here so unscathed, and what can I do to continue this hot streak of no regrets. So after 4 years of medical school and enough money spent at Starbucks that I could have bought a yacht, here's what I've figured out. 3 important components to building a life and a career without regrets. 1, I have never regretted a pursuit, honorable or foolish, about which I have had a passion. From where I stand, it seems if you have a passion, you have a shot at a meaningful career. In 1984, Barry Marshall was an Australian scientist. He was pretty sure that a certain bacteria was associated with stomach ulcers. In fact, Barry was so passionate that he grew the bacteria in his lab and then drank the contents of his own petri dish to see if he would develop an ulcer. He documented his subsequent suffering with regular biopsies and his mother's opinion of how his breath smelled. Because of his passion and his very patient mother, Barry proved H. pylori was the culprit behind stomach ulcers and won a Nobel Prize. Hey, Dad, come smell my breath. No, it's for a Nobel Prize, I swear. To inoculate yourself, now that's passion for an idea. Julia Child, the Steve Jobs of food, has said, find something you're passionate about and keep tremendously interested in it. And Julia Child is just as right about life as she is about bundt cake. You have never and will never regret a pursuit of passion. But critics are eager to pounce. I'm sure many respected scientists thought Barry Marshall was a wackadoo. And in such a climate of antagonism that we are about to enter, therein lies the importance of my second tenement, and that is courage. Rumor has it the idea to perform surgery through tiny holes instead of a huge incision was first conceived by a Frenchman. Rumor also has it that the idea wasn't very well received, and who could blame them, as up to this point the trophy case of French inventions included white flags and edible mold. The very first documented laparoscopic surgery was performed in 1901 on a dog. The gynecologists widely accepted it, but the general surgeons, they wanted nothing to do with it. The very first appendix removed laparoscopically was done by a German gynecologist, a Dr. Kurt Sem, after which the president of the German Surgical Society demanded that Sem be suspended from medical practice. Sem was denied from publishing his case on the grounds that the technique was unethical. So what year in medieval history was Dr. Sem's lap-appy, today's most common surgery, considered an egregious and unethical horror that demanded suspension? 1981. That's like yesterday. Now in 2014, it's widely accepted. Laparoscopic surgery yields less pain, faster return to school and work, better cosmetic results. Whoops. It takes courage to pursue your passions. You may have thought of the next biggest advance in your field, but when critics abound, it takes courage to pursue it. Poet E.E. Cummings says it takes courage to grow up and become who you really are, and that is true. To start something new, to persist in the face of criticism, even to toil on behalf of an idea that may yield nothing, takes courage. Which brings me to my final piece of wisdom. The one characteristic of my life that I am most confident that I will never, ever regret, and the reason why I respect the students of the Penn State College of Medicine, and that is hard work. The most worthwhile and gratifying pursuits are those that are accomplished with old-fashioned sweat and blood and work. Even the most accidental discovery in medical history, in 1922, Dr. Alexander Fleming accidentally shed a tear into one of his petri dishes. Now, crying into your basic science lab work is something I fully understand. We've all been there. But Dr. Fleming noticed that where his tear had fallen was free from the growth of bacteria. It wouldn't be until 6 years later that he noticed a similar reaction with mold. Voila, penicillin and thus antibiotics were born. 6 years between discoveries. That's 6 seasons of The Office, 6 Super Bowls, and like 9 Kim Kardashian marriages. Point is, in an age of iPhones, Netflix, and the hot and ready sign at the Krispy Kreme, instant gratification is the norm. We forget that hard work yields the gratifying and satisfying results. Not one of us rolled out of bed yesterday with the dream of wearing these robes. All of this took years of your time and sacrifice. Hard work is unique and rare and worthwhile. It is known intimately by everyone in these seats, and I hope you never regret working hard. So that is how I, and maybe we, got here so incredibly fulfilled and regretless. Passion, courage, and hard work. Of all the choices in my life that I could regret, I will never, ever regret coming to Penn State. It will go down as one of the best decisions of my entire life. And so, my friends, we are now in our last few moments on that warm stretch of sandy beach. Once we accept this hood, we wade into that dark, icy water that is the real professional world, and we will begin to struggle to swim. Being such, I leave you with this final thought. Promise me you will not spend so much time treading water and trying to keep your head above the waves that you forget how much you have always loved to swim. I am so very proud of you. I'm so very fortunate to have known you, to have worked with you, and to stand up beside you today, because if I continue to stand in front of you, you won't be able to see anything. Ask these folks. You could have all left. They'd never know. Thank you so very much for everything that you have done. I cannot wait to see what fabulous things you will do. Bonne chance, buena suerte, and have a wonderful career. Thank you very much.